Welcome to this video. You have to welcome people to videos because I suppose it's a way to establish credibility, because we're all people, we all judge people immediately, we all categorize people immediately, and to pretend otherwise is kind of doing a disservice to all of us. So going forward with that perspective in mind, that it's okay to be critical of things that are maybe just because it's uncomfortable to talk about them, or socially they're a little bit like, wouldn't it be easier to say this and then just let the conversation keep going? I don't want to do that. I find that to be a waste of time. I'm a big advocate for devil's advocacy. I like to listen to both sides. I really like to get an idea of the problem, and then that way I see it from everyone's perspective. I can appeal to both sides and their logic and why they feel the way they do. And then once you see everything, then you can weigh the options. And that's critical thinking, and you can apply that to anything and everything. And I want everyone to apply that to anything and everything, including what I'm saying. So please listen critically. It's okay to say whatever you need to say to me in the comments. I would prefer that you wait until the end when you get everything all together. But if it's reactionary and impulsive and you just have to say it, say it. I'd also like to hear if you felt differently later. So, I mean, either way, I'm prefacing it way too much before I even tell you what we're talking about. And today we are talking about the idea of gender. Yeah, so I mean, you've seen a lot of people who maybe look a little bit like me trying to appeal to the idea of what gender is, and they're like, ooh, let's be loud and bright and just have like an engaging personality, and then just feed you a bunch of nonsense that you want to hear. I'm not really interested in that. I realize that the way that I actually dress is like this, but it works for the sake of being more appealing on YouTube, and I wanted more people to feel compelled to listen to me. So hey, play the game, dress for the job you want, you know? But in sincerity, this is really how I feel comfortable. I am a man. I have always felt comfortable personally. I won't say I felt comfortable enough to socially always enter the world, the arena, in just anything and everything. But I mean, I've always liked the freedom of choice when it comes to color. Like, that felt like something that was very unnecessary to gender, if you will. Color was something that I just found to be a really fun way to stand out. I'm one of 3 boys, and so I guess anytime you're set up as a part of a set, you want to find your identity and you want to have your own thing that sets you apart. I think that's a very common experience, and I think that a lot of people can speak to that. Now, maybe having to go pink, is that the way that I went? Not at the beginning, but is it what I always wanted to do? Yeah. And I actually wrestled in my hometown. I became intercity champion. If you care enough, you could look it up. And I won, and I had on my hot pink shoelaces because that had to be my senior year, and I had come out my sophomore year. And just the idea of wrestling and coming out was something that I had to come to terms with, how I'm going to proceed, knowing that other people are going to be inherently uncomfortable with me. They believe that I will be sexualizing the experience because they can only perceive it that way. They're wondering, why else would you declare such a thing, I suppose. And it's just kind of an unfortunate, byproduct of it, because when you come out, I personally came out for the sake of, I didn't want to lie. If someone asks me out or feels interest in me or wonders why I'm not interested, like, I don't want to lie. I'm like, I'm not into you because you are female. It's as simple as that. Like, of course, then there's like another list of criteria, but I mean, that's a big chop. That's 50% of the population right there that I'm just letting you know ahead of time. Not going to be fielding questions on that one at this time. Thank you very much. But, but that's something that I did understand that other people needed to come to terms with, and I wanted to respect that boundary. So I was very courteous to make sure that other people never felt different. Like, they could never really pinpoint something that I did differently now that I am out, or now that that I would stand out from another wrestler or from another student, from another classmate, whatever the case may be, given whatever various arena I was in. And I like to have my fingers and my toes in all these different things, and I liked that there was a world of options out there for me. That felt good to be able to come out and do that. And in hindsight, I can understand why some adults might have felt a little bit like, ooh, this is something that we have to deal with and we don't know how to proceed. I understand that, because there is an inherent sex component to homosexuality, to same-sex attraction. It's not that at the end of the day you only want to hold hands. You know what I mean? Like, if the end goal was just, can guys hold hands? Like, yeah, that wouldn't have been a big deal. But it was like, everybody wanted to do more, and it's fun to do more, so can't say too much on that. And now that I'm a decade away from that experience, I can kind of look at it from another perspective. But I always was comfortable in terms of being a little bit more out there and loud. I didn't want to be so pick on me, look at me, but I did want to be like, I want to express myself in case there is another gay. I need to like wear something to let them know. Like, I have like pink in my tie, I'll like dye my hair. Like, there were just little language things that people just kind of, you picked up from the older gays before you, and they got from the gays before them. And so it was just something that you learned that way. So when it came to picking my personal style, it was like a lot of things as a contrarian. It was something that, when given the option, I wanted to pick something that stood out more. I wanted pink, I wanted purple, I wanted bright orange, I want bright yellow. Like, I want the colors, you know? And I will actually chalk a little bit of like that selection of colors in particular up to the fact that I come from a town that, considering we're in Midwestern Illinois, we have a very large Indian American population. And yes, I mean India, the large place. India, that one. Indian American people. And the women wear saris, S-A-R-I, wear saris, and they're beautiful. And I don't know if you've like ever seen this, but like the adornment with the different jewelries and metallics, and just, I don't know, I'm not gonna dissect it. Fashion's not really my cup of tea. I just like the fact that a bright color makes you feel good. I think that people should not be limited by color selection. In fact, I recently found a clothing brand. I'm not gonna like shout them out because that feels hacky, but I did find like a few clothing brands that are I really admire the fact that they are taking male designs for clothing that accents a man's body, because there are biological differences and sexually dimorphic differences between males and females. That's just something that you need to come to terms with. There's a reason why even people who on the other side of the fence get a double mastectomy. Call it top surgery all you want. It's not adorable. It is a breast removal, double breast removal, double mast. Yeah. I'm not the surgeon. I don't like to get into it, but I will just say it's not as cute as that. But once they have taken that down, they believe that it's like, oh, now men's clothes fit better. And it's like, well, yeah, because men's clothing aren't designed to accommodate breasts. That's the reality of it. And it's, our pants are different, your pants are different. Like, there's, to ignore the fact that there are differences between men and women is to be willfully ignorant. And in today's age, to use science as a shield against all forms of anyone disagreeing with you is just so, it's foolish. And I realize I'm offering a lot of just my opinions here, but I think these are just commonly held opinions. But I think they're opinions that haven't needed to be said in a while, and they need to be said. So I'm just giving one man's anecdotal experience in terms of, I think that you should not be limiting someone to, oh, there are boy colors, there are girl colors, therefore let's put people on particular routes. I think that is more sexist than anything. I think when you open up an entire world to boys and to girls, they're a lot more well-rounded. They have a much greater appreciation for one another. I think that when you can acknowledge the strengths and the weaknesses, then you know how you can complement other people better. And that means your strengths and your weaknesses and others. I mean, to pretend that you don't go around the world judging things and carrying prejudice is, again, to be willfully ignorant. Prejudice, prejudice, it is just to judge a situation before you know enough, or before you know. That's honestly all it is. So when you go into something, your brain sorts through the catalog, it tries to find something it can make sense of, and it goes, what's something I can kind of like loosely tie that to, because I don't understand what's in front of me. So let's run through the database and see if we can make some sense of this. And that's where that judgment comes from, that Judice. That's where it is. So to claim you don't see color, to claim that, there are no differences between men and women, to claim that things such as like age of consent are very dated or arbitrary, those are playing in a world of, I wish everyone agreed with me. And that's not what it is. You have to look at the world around you. You have to take it for what it is. You have to learn to play by its rules. Its rules are incredible. And the older I get, the more I have an appreciation for the world, and the more I realize how little I know. And it's so compelling to want to learn more. But at the same time, I need to know myself first and foremost, and that includes knowing that I am a male, knowing that no matter what happens in my life, no one can take that away from me, even if I am castrated, even if I'm dressed up in a wig and fishnets and all the things that are being ascribed to womanhood, which are very cultural, just archetypes of female sexuality. I would not equate that to womanhood by any means, but that seems to be like a very strong aspect of the vocal ones when it comes to those who tend to disagree with me on the reality of sex and the human ability to transition from one sex to another. I don't believe that is something that humans are capable of doing. I do not believe that using animals found in nature as an example of why humans could somehow transition sexually, I don't think that's fair. I think that's very degrading to the human experience, and this might be the fact that I was raised religiously. I don't practice or anything, but I will just say, I do believe that humans were beautifully designed. I think that our bodies are so intelligently designed. I think that the intricacies of it and the amount of work that goes into just our day-to-day life, from your fingers to your wrists to your elbows to your shoulders to just every bit and piece of you. And so to remove parts of you, to willingly get rid of things, and mind you, you did not just remove the notion of sexuality attached to breasts. You removed lymph nodes, you removed fat, but you also removed some nerves. You might not have removed them, you might have damaged them. I'm not the doctor. I'm just saying, you didn't just eliminate a concept. You offset the body. And when you play with the body and when you offset it, the body wants to find its natural balance. And a lot of people, I could go on a whole tangent, but I will just say, if you're trying to put fat in just one part of your body's gonna go, okay, oh, so that's our body, better compensate, better put fat in a corresponding area so that gravitationally we can keep our balance, so that we can function left and right. Like, playing with your body in any other time in history would just be condemned as mad science. And it is just so crazy that it is not right now. And the question is coming up of, would you put your child on puberty blockers? Which, unfathomable. Unfathomable. I'm making a very serious point, but I had to drum it out because it is something that I really wanted to articulate, that it is. And people are making insane should I say insane? No, because I'm about to agree with them. People are making very grand claims that something like this is the equivalent to lobotomizing people, and that historically we will look back and be so embarrassed about this. I feel that that is an extreme but equitable opinion. So take my words with a grain of salt, the regular kind. They make all kinds of salt now. I saw that they had Merlot salt. Someone added Merlot to salt so they could sell you purple salt. I honestly believe that's all there is to that. So, I mean, look around you. Maybe you don't have to be as critical as I am day in and day out, but I just want to challenge people to maybe really consider the world around you. Consider your experience, and then remember that other people live in the world with you, and that they probably have a lot more in common with you, and that you're probably not some freak, you're probably not some alien, you're probably not some undiscovered gender. You know, you're probably a person, and there are probably other people like you going through what you're going through, and you should hear them out. And I have heard them out, and I have made my decision. So I am just one of those voices that I ask that you also hear out. So I appreciate you listening. I realize I speak a lot and I speak quickly. That's how my brain operates. But I wanted to just do this off the cuff and authentically, and hopefully I didn't leave too many of my tangents splintering off. So I appreciate this. It's nice. Please tell me whatever you think in the comments. Just honestly, whatever you think. Like, this is a really cute sweater. Talk about it if you care. I almost did. Thanks.